Healing rain is coming down. Healing rain.
I was born in Ningen, which is west of Dubbo, about an hour and a half's drive from here. My mum and dad are both deceased. I've been there quite some time. I was born into a family of 6 sisters and 1 brother, and I had 2 brothers deceased, so we were a pretty large family. Daddy and I was married. We've been married now for over 40 years. We have 3 sons, 3 daughter-in-laws, and 10 grandchildren and 2 great-grandchildren. And then we've lived in Dubbo for the past, say, 25 years. I started my spiritual journey. All my life I've gone to Sunday school and to church growing up in Ningen. So it wasn't, and at the very young age of 15 I wanted to become a nun, but I only seen Catholic ones, so I thought, oh, and I'm not Catholic, I'm Church of England back in those days, and I just didn't know that the Anglican Church had nuns, but anyway, that was okay. I wouldn't have Eddie and the children and that. But after a crisis in the family, I decided I wanted to be a Christian. And Eddie and I moved from Dubbo out to Cobar, and that is when I got God's calling that I wanted to do more for my people. I wanted to just really give back my people their identity with a different way, because I always felt without their own identity, as Aboriginal people, they couldn't identify with Christ. I was actually ordained in the church in the background. My bishop at the time, Bishop Bruce Wilson, thought it was very appropriate to be ordained here in Dubbo, and so I was ordained in the church in the background, the Holy Trinity Anglican Church here. It was very much like a reconciliation service with lots of, even when the Catholic priest came, and we had a bit of a joke about that. He said, oh, I hope my bishop doesn't see that I'm at a women's ordination. And but somebody just commented on it that it was like a really true reconciliation. I was danced in by the Aboriginal dancers here. I was also painted in white ochre for my journey as a new beginning. It took a lot to trust people, and people to trust me, and and I think because I'd lived in Dubbo for so long, it was just one of those getting to know and being trusted. And I just found that I just related my life to Jesus' life, of how he was ridiculed and the rejection and everything else. So when I put it into to that similarity, I thought, well, yes, it's something that I grew up with. There was a lot of rejection and discrimination and stuff like that. But so I just really felt, well, if Jesus can cope with it, so can I. But it's unfortunate I was more human, so it still sometimes hurt. But that's how I cope. And I'd say, Lord, forgive them, for they don't know what they do. I got very, I think it was burnt out and run down, and because I just continued, and I was trying to live up to being a pioneer and trying to live up to everyone, wanting a piece of you and wanting you to be somebody who was up, who was just, who forget that you're human and think you're a superwoman, and underneath it all, after 10, 12 years, I just cracked, and I just got burnt out and run down, and then went on Walkabout for 3 years, till I renewed my spirit within, and that's where a lot of the women's camp comes from, renewing, getting back that what sometimes gets taken away from us in our busy lives.
When Gloria said camp, I thought, oh good, I haven't been out in the bush for a while, and the times that I have been and have had the opportunity to be on my own, it's much easier then to free your mind, clear it of all other things, and if there's something you want to know, you focus on it, you know, and information comes to you. You know. We were up at the elders group one day, and I was giving a little session to the elders about you know, Aboriginal culture and history and the Dreamtime and things like that. And she asked me if I'd go out there, and so we realised that after her talk and then what I could follow up with, that we could actually work in together about, you know, the Dreamtime with and I'm always careful to say that this doesn't apply to every Aboriginal person and every group belief. The Dreamtime, Aboriginal people believe that everything came from the one source, and that includes, you know, the animals and plants and humans and all those sort of things. It all came from the one source, and that's why it's everybody's related to each other, and the kinship system was set up for those relationships to continue in peace and harmony. And so we realised that we were talking about the same thing, that she was talking about it from her perspective and I was talking about it from mine. But when we talked together about it, I said, well, you know, those values were there, those beliefs, and the main thing is the relationships.
Everyone, to our service today. I'm just going to explain a little bit of the altar and what different things symbolises. As the broken sticks represents the brokenness within our lives and within Aboriginal culture and everything else, but it is also the brokenness, what Jesus did for all of us on the cross. He was broken for all of us as well. So that's what the sticks represent. The lavender is... when I was attending Noongalinga College, I learned how to do contextual theology, which is of seeing Jesus through my eyes, through Aboriginal eyes and not non-Aboriginal eyes, and to adapt our cultural stories to the Bible stories, which they're very similar, and then look up the passages. And so I try to incorporate. Now this year I've actually doing a service on Sunday morning. Take, eat. This is my body, which is given for you. But it's done with a lot of quite a few Aboriginal Lord's Prayer and Aboriginal blessing, so it's a liturgy that'll fit in, and then some other ones out of the prayer book. And so I've done, I've taken liturgy from a few places, but yeah, so I do that. Days to sing God's praise, and when in women's lives, whether they're, most of us are mothers, aunties, grandmothers, and we tend to have such busy lives, and we don't really stop to smell the roses, as the saying goes. So because we're just so tied up, and so I started having the women's camps, and I started off with women's dinners, and just so the women can have a break from the children or the grandchildren or whatever, just to have some time together in a beautiful setting and everything else. So and then somebody I think suggested, well, we have some women's camp. It'd be nice to go out bush and just to sit and get away from it all, Anyway, so I started off, and that's where the renewing the spirit come. You know, I always say that we're God inspired.
It's really a special part of my life, and I can see the Holy Spirit just sweeping across the land amongst the Aboriginal people that I don't see in Holy Trinity in town, you know, and that's what I love.
How precious is that grace of thee, the hour I first believed. Many dangers, toils,
Gradually only just goes out. Because that's what we're actually doing in the camps, and that is renewing our spirit. Doesn't matter how God does it, whether it's just to be refreshed and a break away from the children, break away from the town, the city, and the life, you know, mobiles, television, computers, and that. So it's just a time out, and trying to, well, recharge the batteries. We've been in lovely settings of the bush and, yeah, and fellowship and things like that.
Amazing grace.